Hello, everyone, and welcome to my very first podcast. I'm Emma, and I'm so excited to have you here as I begin this new journey with you.
And I'm Ryan. Whether you're listening while driving, cooking dinner, taking a walk, studying English, or just relaxing after a long day, thank you for spending your time with us.
You know, Ryan, something happened to me yesterday that made me think about today's topic.
Really? What happened?
I was scrolling through social media, just 5 minutes before bed.
Ah, yes, the famous 5 minutes that somehow turns into 45.
Exactly. Anyway, I kept seeing people celebrating promotions, buying new cars, traveling to amazing places, opening businesses, graduating from university, and for a moment, I had a strange feeling.
Let me guess, you started comparing yourself.
Yes, even though I know social media only shows part of people's lives, I still caught myself thinking, am I behind? Should I be doing more? Why does everyone else seem so successful? Have you ever felt that?
Honestly, more times than I can count. I think almost everyone has had that thought. Maybe you're listening right now and you've had the same feeling. Maybe you're 20, maybe you're 40, maybe you're a student, maybe you've already been working for years. At some point, we've all wondered, am I doing enough?
And that's exactly what today's conversation is about. Not just success, but the truth about success. Not the version we see online, the real version. The one with mistakes, fear, failure, doubt, and tiny victories nobody ever posts.
I love that, because success isn't usually loud. Most of the time, it's surprisingly quiet.
Ryan, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
When you hear the word successful, who comes to your mind first?
That's interesting. A few years ago, I would have answered immediately. Someone rich, someone famous, someone with millions of followers, someone driving an expensive car. Basically, someone everyone recognizes.
Same here. It's funny how our definition changes as we grow older.
Exactly. Today, when I hear the word success, I think about something completely different.
Really? Like what?
I think about my grandfather.
That's not the answer I expected. Tell me more.
My grandfather never became famous. He never owned a huge company. He never appeared on television. Most people outside our family never even knew his name. But every morning, he woke up before sunrise, worked honestly, helped his neighbors whenever they needed him, came home smiling, played with his grandchildren, never complained. When he passed away, hundreds of people came to his funeral, not because he was rich, because he was kind.
Wow, that's powerful.
It changed the way I think. I realized something. Money can make people admire you. Kindness makes people remember you.
That's beautiful. You know, sometimes we spend years chasing success without ever asking ourselves a simple question. What kind of success do I actually want? Because society answers that question for us before we even think about it. Good grades, good job, good salary, big house, nice car, retire early. And if we don't achieve those things by a certain age, we feel like we're failing.
Exactly. It's like someone gave us a map, but never asked if that's where we wanted to go.
Can I tell you a story?
Absolutely. I know your stories usually have a lesson hidden somewhere.
A few months ago, I was waiting at a train station. There was an elderly man sitting on a bench. Nothing unusual. He wasn't using his phone, he wasn't reading. He was simply watching people. Young people rushing, parents carrying children, businessmen checking emails, students running for trains. Everyone seemed to be in a hurry. After about 15 minutes, he smiled at me and said something I'll never forget. He said, "Everyone here knows where today's train is going. Very few know where their own life is going."
Wow. That's one of those sentences that stays with you.
It certainly stayed with me because I realized we're often busy, but not always moving in the right direction. There's a difference.
That's such an important idea. being busy doesn't automatically mean you're making progress. Sometimes we're just running faster on the wrong road.
Emma, why do you think comparing ourselves is so natural?
I think our brains are always searching for answers. We look around and ask, how am I doing compared to everyone else? The problem is, we compare our ordinary Tuesday to someone else's best moment.
Exactly. Imagine reading only the last chapter of someone's life story. You'd think everything was easy, but you missed all the difficult chapters before it.
That's why comparison is unfair. You know your own struggles, but you only see other people's victories.
It's like watching a movie that starts at the happy ending. You never see the scenes where the hero failed, or cried, or almost gave up.
And here's something interesting. A psychologist once said that comparison can be useful if it inspires you, but it becomes dangerous when it makes you believe you'll never be enough. There's a huge difference.
I love that. Instead of asking, why are they ahead of me? Maybe ask, what can I learn from them? One question creates jealousy. The other creates growth.
Can we ask our listeners to do something?
Of course.
If you're listening right now, think about one person you admire. Don't think about their money or their job or their followers. Think about their character. What quality do they have that you would love to develop? Patience, confidence, kindness, discipline? Write just one word in your notebook. Or if you're watching on YouTube, write it in the comments. I'd love to know what people value most.
Mine would definitely be discipline. How about yours?
Curiosity. I think curious people never stop growing. And maybe that's a different kind of success.
So today we've discovered something surprising. Success isn't one destination. It's personal. It's deeply connected to our values. But here's another question. If success isn't only about money, then why do so many people spend years chasing things that never make them happy? I think that's where the conversation gets really interesting.
Me too. Because in the next part, we're going to talk about one of the biggest myths we've ever been taught. The idea that success automatically creates happiness. What if it's actually the other way around? We asked a question that I think many people have wondered about. If success is supposed to make us happy, why do we hear about successful people who still feel empty? That's one of the biggest surprises of adulthood. When we're children, we imagine happiness as a destination. We think, once I get there, I'll finally be happy. Graduate, happy. Get a good job, happy. Earn more money, happy. Buy a house, happy. But life doesn't always work like that.
Exactly. It's almost like we're climbing a mountain without realizing that every mountain has another one behind it. You reach one goal, and suddenly your brain says, great, now climb the next one.
Our brains are terrible at celebrating. They're amazing at creating new to-do lists.
That's so true. You finally buy something you've wanted for months. A new phone, new clothes, a better laptop. For about a week, you're excited. Then it becomes normal.
Psychologists actually have a name for this. It's called hedonic adaptation. Don't worry about the complicated name. It simply means people get used to good things very quickly. What once felt exciting eventually becomes ordinary.
It's like moving into a beautiful new apartment. The first week, you're amazed. You notice every detail, the sunlight, the view, the smell of fresh paint. But 6 months later, you walk through the same rooms without even thinking about them.
Exactly. And success works the same way. That's why chasing happiness through achievements alone can become exhausting.
Can I tell you another story?
Please do. I have a feeling this one involves coffee.
Of course it does. A few months ago, I visited a small coffee shop. There were only 3 tables. Nothing fancy, no expensive decorations, just simple wooden chairs. An older woman was working behind the counter. She greeted every customer by name. She asked about their families. She remembered their favorite drinks. People stayed much longer than they needed to. Nobody seemed to be in a hurry. When I left, I asked her, "You always seem so happy. What's your secret?" She smiled and said, "I stopped trying to build a perfect life. I started trying to build perfect moments."
Wow. That's beautiful. Perfect moments. Not a perfect life.
Exactly. Think about it. Life isn't made of giant achievements every day. It's made of tiny moments. A good conversation, a peaceful walk, laughing with a friend, watching the rain, reading a great book, drinking tea while everyone else is still asleep. Those moments don't look impressive on social media, but somehow they're often the happiest parts of life.
Emma, can I confess something?
Always.
Last year, I told myself, if I save enough money, I'll finally stop worrying. Well, I reached my savings goal.
Congratulations. So, did you stop worrying?
Not even a little. Instead, I created a new goal. Then another one. Then another. It felt like every time I reached the finish line, I quietly moved it farther away.
I think a lot of people do that. We don't even notice we're doing it. It's like running on a treadmill. You're working really hard, but the scenery never changes.
Exactly. One day I realized I had become so focused on the future that I forgot to enjoy the present. I was always preparing for happiness instead of experiencing it.
Can I share something I've started doing recently?
I'm curious.
Every evening, before going to bed, I write one good thing that happened during the day. Just one. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe someone smiled at me. Maybe I finished a difficult task. Maybe I had a delicious meal. Maybe I simply enjoyed the sunset. I fold the paper and put it inside a glass jar.
I love that idea. So what happens when the jar fills up?
On New Year's Eve, I open it and read every single note. It's amazing. Our brains remember problems much more easily than beautiful moments. The jar reminds me that life has been kinder than my memory sometimes admits.
That's actually a really important point. Our brains have a negativity bias. They're designed to notice danger more than comfort. Thousands of years ago, that helped humans survive. Today, it sometimes makes us forget everything that's going well. A question for you.
Let's ask everyone listening something. Ready?
Go ahead.
If today ended exactly the way it is right now, what would be one thing you'd still be grateful for? Maybe it's your family, your health, your best friend, your pet, your education. Maybe it's simply having another chance tomorrow. Take a few seconds. Really think about it.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, tell us in the comments. Not because we're curious, although we are, but because someone else might read your answer and remember something they forgot to appreciate. Ryan, do you know something I've started noticing?
What's that?
Some of the most successful people I've met would never call themselves successful
Interesting. Why do you think that is?
because they're too busy growing. They don't spend much time proving themselves. One of my teachers once told me, the strongest trees make the least noise. At the time, I didn't understand. Now I think I do. Real confidence doesn't need to announce itself. Real success doesn't always demand attention.
I love that. Sometimes the loudest success is actually the quietest. The parent working hard every day for their children. The student studying after everyone else has gone to sleep. The nurse finishing another long shift. The small business owner who refuses to give up. Nobody is applauding them, but they're building something meaningful.
So far, we've talked about happiness, comparison, and why success doesn't always look the way we imagine. But there's one thing almost every successful person has experienced: failure. And honestly, I think failure teaches us more than success ever could.
I couldn't agree more. Because in the next part, we're going to share some of our biggest mistakes, the moments we wanted to quit, and why those moments completely changed our lives. We talked about something that surprised both of us. Sometimes success doesn't make people happy, but failure often changes people forever.
That's true. And honestly, I don't think we talk enough about failure. Social media loves showing the finish line. Very few people show the hundreds of times they almost gave up.
Exactly. We see someone's success story in 30 seconds, but we don't see the 10 years that came before it.
Ryan, can I ask you something personal?
Sure. Go ahead.
What's one failure that completely changed your life?
There are quite a few. But one stands out. About 5 years ago, I applied for a job that I wanted more than anything. I spent days preparing. I researched the company, practiced interview questions, bought a new shirt because I wanted to make a good first impression. I walked into that interview feeling confident. I walked out feeling terrible.
What happened?
I wasn't prepared enough. They asked questions I couldn't answer. Some questions were easy. But because I was nervous, even simple words disappeared from my mind. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh, yes. It's like your brain suddenly decides to take a vacation.
Exactly. After the interview, I already knew I wasn't getting the job. 3 days later, the rejection email arrived. It was only 2 paragraphs long. But somehow, those 2 paragraphs felt heavier than 100 pages.
How did you feel?
Honestly, embarrassed. I started questioning everything. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I'm not talented enough. Maybe successful people are simply born different. Have you ever noticed how quickly our brains become dramatic?
Yes. One bad day, and suddenly our brain writes an entire movie.
Exactly. I failed one interview, and my brain was already planning my retirement. About a week later, my older brother called. He asked, "So, how's life?" I said, "Not great." He listened quietly. Then he asked one question, just one. He said, "Ryan, do you want comfort? Or do you want growth?" I didn't understand. So I asked, "What do you mean?" He said, "Comfort tells you to stop trying. Growth tells you to learn." That conversation changed everything.
That's such an important lesson. Sometimes we think failure is the opposite of success, but maybe it's actually part of success.
Exactly. Instead of asking, why did I fail? I started asking, what is this failure trying to teach me? Completely different question.
Questions are powerful. The quality of your life often depends on the quality of the questions you ask yourself.
Absolutely. Instead of saying, I'm terrible at interviews, I asked, what interview skill can I improve this week? Suddenly, the problem became much smaller.
Can I tell you something funny?
Please, I love your stories.
When I was 8 years old, my father was teaching me how to ride a bicycle. I fell. A lot. Actually, let's be honest, I spent more time on the ground than on the bicycle. Every time I fell, I'd look at my dad and say, I can't do it. He never said, yes, you can. Instead, he always smiled and said, you can't do it yet. Just one extra word, yet.
Wow, that one word changes everything.
It really does. I can't speak English yet. I can't start a business yet. I can't run 5 kilometers yet. That tiny word leaves room for growth.
You know something interesting? The people we admire today were once complete beginners. The best musicians once played terrible music. The best athletes once lost races. The best writers once wrote awful first drafts. The best speakers once forgot their words. Nobody starts at the finish line.
Exactly. But beginners often compare themselves to experts. That's like comparing the first page of your book to someone else's final chapter. It's impossible to win that comparison.
Let's do something with everyone listening. Ready?
I'm ready.
Think about something you've become good at. Maybe cooking, driving, swimming, speaking English, playing football, anything. Now ask yourself, how good were you the first day? Probably not very good, but you improved because you kept showing up. That's the secret. Not perfection, repetition.
I love that sentence. Not perfection, repetition. Maybe write that somewhere you'll see it tomorrow. Ryan, have you ever heard the story about bamboo?
I don't think so.
A bamboo tree spends years growing underground before anyone sees it. For a long time, nothing seems to happen. People might think nothing is growing, but underneath the soil, the roots are becoming stronger every day. Then suddenly, the bamboo grows incredibly fast. People think, wow, that happened overnight. But it didn't. The visible growth only happened because of years of invisible growth.
That's such a perfect picture of success. People celebrate what they can see. They rarely appreciate what happened in the dark. The studying, the practicing, the failures, the lonely mornings, the late nights, the doubts.
Ryan, you just used a great expression, showing up. Let's explain it.
Good idea. When we say someone shows up, we don't only mean they arrive somewhere. It also means they continue making the effort, even when they don't feel motivated. For example, I didn't feel like studying today, but I showed up anyway.
Another expression we used was room for growth. That simply means there is still space to improve. It's actually exciting because nobody has reached their full potential.
Can I ask everyone listening something? Don't answer us, answer yourself. What dream have you quietly given up on, not because it was impossible, but because you were afraid of failing? Take your time. Maybe becoming a teacher, learning another language, starting a business, writing a book, changing careers, traveling. What's the dream? Now here's the second question. What is one tiny step you could take this week? Not next year, not someday, this week.
Today's conversation reminded me of something. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's often the classroom where success begins.
Exactly. But there's still one question we haven't answered. If failure is necessary, then what keeps successful people going when life becomes difficult? Because motivation disappears. Everyone loses confidence sometimes. So what's left?
That's what we'll explore in the next part. We'll talk about discipline, the difference between motivation and commitment, and why ordinary habits often beat extraordinary talent.
So far, we've talked about what success really means, why comparison steals our joy, and how failure can actually become our greatest teacher. But now we're going to talk about something that almost nobody likes to hear.
Discipline.
Exactly. The word itself sounds a little serious.
It really does. When I hear the word discipline, I imagine someone waking up at 4:30 in the morning, drinking black coffee, running 10 kilometers, reading 3 books before breakfast.
And somehow smiling the whole time.
Honestly, that's why many people think discipline isn't for them. They believe discipline means living a perfect life. But I don't think that's true at all.
Neither do I. In fact, I think discipline is much smaller than people imagine.
Ryan, can I ask you something?
Of course.
Do you always feel motivated to work?
Absolutely not. Sometimes I don't even feel motivated to wash the dishes. There are mornings when I wake up feeling excited, ideas are flowing, everything feels possible. But there are also mornings when I look at my to-do list and think, can today be Saturday instead?
I know that feeling. So what's the difference between people who keep moving and those who stop?
I think motivation is like a guest. Sometimes it visits, sometimes it doesn't. If your success depends only on motivation, you'll stop every time motivation leaves.
That's such a great image. Motivation knocks on your door. Discipline already has a key to the house.
Can I tell you about one of the laziest mornings of my life?
This should be interesting.
A couple of years ago, I decided I wanted to become healthier. Nothing dramatic, just healthier. So I promised myself I'd walk every morning before work. The first week was wonderful. Sunny skies, fresh air, birds singing. I felt like the main character in a movie.
Of course. Life was helping you.
Exactly. Then Monday arrived. Heavy rain, cold wind, dark clouds. My bed suddenly became the most comfortable place on earth. I started making excuses. It's only one day. I'll start again tomorrow. One walk won't make a difference. Sound familiar?
Very familiar. Our brains are incredibly creative when they don't want to do something.
Exactly. Then I remembered something I'd written in my notebook. Don't break the promise you made to yourself. So, did I walk for an hour? No. Did I run 5 kilometers? No. I walked for 10 minutes. Just 10. I came home completely wet, but strangely,
very proud.
That's something many people misunderstand. They think confidence comes before action, but I think it's the opposite.
Absolutely. Confidence grows because of action, not before it. Imagine learning to swim. You don't become confident, then enter the water. You enter the water, practice, improve, and confidence quietly follows.
Exactly. Waiting until you feel confident is like waiting until you're warm before lighting the fire. The fire creates the warmth. Action creates confidence.
Can I share a story?
Always.
Imagine two builders. Every morning, builder number 1 places 1 brick, just one, every single day. Builder number 2 works only when he feels inspired. Some weeks he builds 20 bricks, other weeks, nothing. Now imagine 1 year passes. Who has the stronger house?
The first builder, without question.
Exactly. Life works the same way. Small, daily effort almost always beats occasional perfection.
You know what's fascinating? People often underestimate small improvements. Imagine improving just 1% every day. 1% sounds tiny, almost invisible, but after a year, you're a completely different person.
It's like planting a tiny seed. On the first day, nothing. After 1 week, almost nothing. After 1 month, still small. But if you keep watering it, one day you're sitting under the shade of a tree. Success works quietly before it works loudly.
Emma, people often ask, what's the secret of successful people? I don't think there's one secret. I think there are simple habits. Reading consistently, sleeping enough, learning every day, keeping promises to themselves, being curious, accepting mistakes, trying again. None of those habits are exciting, but together they change lives.
That's another thing. Success usually looks boring. It's repeating simple actions long after the excitement disappears.
Let's pause for a moment. If you're listening while walking, keep walking. If you're driving, keep your eyes on the road. But think about this question. What's one promise you've made to yourself recently that you haven't kept? Maybe drinking more water, reading every day, calling your parents, learning English, going to bed earlier. No judgment. Just notice it.
Now ask yourself another question. What's stopping you? Is it really a lack of time? Or is it fear? Comfort? Distraction? Sometimes the answer surprises us. Before we finish today's part, I want to tell one final story. My grandfather owned an old watch. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't beautiful. In fact, it had scratches all over it. One day I asked him, "Why don't you buy a new one?" He smiled, because grandparents always smile before saying something wise. He said, "This watch isn't valuable because it's perfect. It's valuable because it has never stopped working." I didn't understand then, but years later, I realized he wasn't talking about the watch. He was talking about people. Life scratches all of us. We all make mistakes. We all have difficult seasons. But the people who keep moving, even slowly, often become the strongest.
Before we go, let's look at 2 expressions from today's conversation. The first one is, break a promise to yourself. This means you decide to do something, but you don't follow through. For example, I promised myself I'd study every evening, but I broke that promise.
Our second expression is follow through. It means finishing what you started. For example, many people make plans. Very few people follow through. It's a wonderful expression because successful people don't only make decisions, they follow through.
Today, we discovered that discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up again and again and again, even on ordinary days, especially on ordinary days.
Because success isn't built on your best day. It's built on all the normal days when nobody is watching. The days when you choose to continue, even if your progress feels invisible.
So before our next episode, we'd love to hear from you. What's one small habit you're going to practice this week? It could be as simple as reading for 10 minutes, taking a walk, or learning 5 new English words. Leave it in the comments. Who knows? Your goal might inspire someone else to begin.
Thank you for spending this time with us. Remember, you don't have to change your entire life today. You only have to take the next small step.
And we'll be right here, cheering you on. Take care of yourself. Keep learning, keep growing, and never stop believing that small actions create extraordinary lives.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos. See you in the next episode.